it, love it, love it. So, yay, it is 7 o'clock. And those of you who've been to a bridge club before know that we always start promptly at starting time. People do tend to join in over the course of the, 20 or 30 minutes, however long it lasts. So we're going to carry on in the interest of everybody else's time. So as Catherine said earlier, welcome to the Bridge Club. Welcome to day two of Technicians Week on the Bridge Club. And today we're going to talk about how we work, different roles as veterinary technicians and things that people bring to the table, how they bring their skills to play in a variety of different ways. And Catherine's going to tell you a little bit about the Bridge Club. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you very much to Banfield Pet Hospital for sponsoring tonight's session. Yay. Okay. We really appreciate that. Banfield has been a good emotional supporter of ours since the very beginning. So we're very happy that they're pitching in to help us bring this conversation to you. So, Catherine, do you want to do a quick little rundown of who we are and why we're here?
So Brenda and I created this gosh, holy cow, 9 months ago. So, and where we are.
We've given birth.
Yeah, we've given birth. So, and we are over 1,000 members already. And what you are seeing is the labor of our love. And that is the idea that we wanted to connect, engage, learn, and grow together. We wanted to find a vehicle by which we could cross geographies and time zones and find commonality. And so this is TED Talks meets LinkedIn meets an old-fashioned book club. But we wanted to do it in a way that would be mindful of your time. So Brenda and I have created this to be 25 minutes. At the 25-minute mark, you're going to see me hand up this little handy dandy 0. Then we will allow people to exit as need be. And then for those who want to stay for the after party, because you'll note we do not allow PowerPoints at the Bridge Club because you don't bring a PowerPoint to a party. That we then carry on the conversation. So this is very much about engagement and having a great time. And with that, I turn it back over to Brenda to introduce our wonderful panel.
Yes, so we have a panel of 4 fantastic technicians who are going to talk with us. I'm going to introduce the 4 of them, and then I'm going to introduce another one of our special guests to give us our traditional Bridge Club toast to kick us off. So we are fortunate to have a technician who is from Livestock practice, Ashley Gaudet, raise your hand. Yay, there she is. We have a technician who works in specialty practice, Janet McConnell.
Hello, Janet.
Yeah, raise your hand. We have a technician who works in companion animal practice, DJ Cannon.
Hello. Oh, there he is. Yep.
And we have a technician who works in corporate affairs, Brianne Morrow.
We'd like to wave at all of you, so you have no idea who's who.
Yeah, I know. So what we're going to do is give everybody a chance to talk a little bit, answer a few questions, and then we'll dig into your questions and get the real conversation going. I want to invite Abbie Hathaway from Banfield Pet Hospital. Abbie, thank you very much for agreeing to come and be a part of our Bridge Club tonight and for kicking us off with a toast.
Excellent. Well, my name is Abbie, and I'm a program manager with Banfield. I've been with them for 12 years. And what a program manager really means is that I help our associates to become credentialed technicians. So I love the work that I do in learning and development as a technician. And I know Banfield is just as excited to sponsor this session as you guys are to have us sponsor it. I think as technicians, we join this profession because we're passionate about animals and the people that take care of them. None of us had the idea that we were going to be millionaires, but we have a lot of passion for what we do. So I'm really excited to hear about all of the different routes that can take and how that helps make it a better world for the pets that we love and the people that take care of them. So I will say, I guess, cheers to veterinary technicians and happy Veterinary Technician Appreciation Week.
Cheers. Okay, I'm better now. All right, it's all good. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I have 3 questions here that we have prepared that we'd like to pose to the panelists. So I would like to ask a question, let each panelist give a little comment or 2, and then we'll see if anybody has any questions specifically to ask, and we'll move on to second and third question, as much as we have in the next 20 minutes. And then as Catherine said, we do have the after party after that 20 minutes are up. So we'll be having further conversation among each other as long as we'd like after that. So, okay, question number 1. So each of you in interviewing or talking with everybody who's on the panel, we've discovered everybody has a passion, a reason that they came to be doing what they're doing. And sometimes we don't know it at the time. So I would like to ask each of you to tell us a little bit about your passion and keep it elevator speech-ish, right? We don't have all night, but it's hard to put passion into 47 words or less, but let's give it a go. And tell us kind of what led you to become a veterinary technician and what led you to where you are right now. So who wants to go first? All right, Janet, you're in the top row. Go.
I feel like I'm in Hollywood Squares. So first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be part of this discussion. Since I was a little girl, always wanted to be a veterinary technician. I didn't want to go to vet school. I, was not into it for like the long haul, and veterinary technician was the way to go. In 1981, I graduated and had to convince everybody that there was such a thing as a technician. And have never looked back. I've worked in general, I've worked in specialty, I worked in supervision, management, and then my true passion is really, I discovered probably in the last 7 years, and that's in empowering and development and education. And that's primarily through the many students that came through our doors at Red Bank Veterinary Hospital. And now I get to take that to Compassion First and work with over 40 hospitals and help them develop their teams, their veterinary nursing teams, their assistants, their student programs, their technicians. And I absolutely love it. It's a dream job to me, something that I feel is like right up, all my experience has really just kind of brought me here, and I'm happy to share it. And moreover, I get to collaborate with all the wealth of talent that we have in the network and then share those resources. It's really like one big family. So, that's where I ended up, and I love where I am right now. I feel very fortunate for that.
That's good. So on the theme of collaboration then, and kind of teaching and sharing, and Brianne, talk a little bit about what, where you started and how you ended up where you are.
It's a whirlwind, right? So Janet always wanted to be a veterinarian or in the veterinary community field. I was always torn if I was going to be Mrs. Frizzle when I grew up or a veterinarian. So I was really torn what I was going to do. I wanted to do education, but I had this, being on a farm, had a passion for cats, dogs, pets in general. And so I always went back to that statement of like, be the person who your dog thinks you are. I mean, you guys have all heard that, right? And so that's where I really, I met a great college counselor, and they taught me about what a veterinary technician did and where you can go from there. They weren't just oh, you're a veterinary technician, this is what you do. It was like, no, you can go this outlet, you can go that outlet, and you can teach. I was like, sign me up. So from being a veterinary technician, I really kept in the spill of nutrition and was able to network with our Royal Canin representative and with Hills and with Purina. And I just sucked up everything that they're putting down and continue my education, and was fortunate enough to come over to Royal Canin. And now I've landed in corporate affairs. So now I teach everybody nutrition, and I do consults globally, and hopefully spilling the nutrition bucket over into more technicians in our field and inspiring them to, let food be your first medicine. So that's where I'm at, and can't be, I get, my two, 5-year-old dreams are coming true every day. So I couldn't be more fortunate.
Right. Love that. All right, so I'm gonna move to Ashley now. So I'm just gonna grab on that mention of food, and we're going to go to Ashley and talk a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so it's funny. People are like, "Oh, so you like cows?" And I say, "Yeah, do you?" They're like, "Yeah, I like to eat them." I said, "That's a good answer too." That's a good answer too. So I actually have been working with cattle now for the last 21 years. And believe it or not, I actually didn't grow up on a farm. My family was military and we lived overseas. And so when we moved back, I'm Canadian. So when we moved back to Canada, we moved to rural Prince Edward Island. It's a province on the East Coast, just kind of north of Maine, northeast of Maine. And so where my family lived was surrounded by beef cows, and we just developed a really great relationship with our neighbor who owned the cows, and they actually showed cattle competitively. So I was really fortunate. I owe where I am today and being a veterinary technician to the experiences that I gained through coming through the 4-H program. One of the mottos of the program is to learn to do by doing. And for me, that really resonated with me. I enjoyed all of the experiences that I gained from showing my own cattle and just being a good stockman. You know, like Bree said, learning about the nutrition and herd health and individual animal medicine. And I kind of just knew right away that veterinary medicine was what I wanted to do. There was a point when I guess I probably thought that I wanted to be a veterinarian. But honestly, I got to do a bunch of ride-alongs with our local veterinarian, and I enjoyed that technician role. I loved helping. I loved getting my hands dirty. I loved being the assistant, the OR nurse, you know, the surgery nurse, the you know, the every opportunity that you could be, or just to be a shoulder to cry on for the client as well. So 4-H is really what I owe all of my my passion.
That's a really good, interesting angle and a good plug for 4-H there too.
Yeah.
So DJ, you serve the kinds of animals we don't eat. So talk a little bit now about your...
Yeah, so I actually started out wanting to go to vet school, and so I went to tech school so that way I could gain some experience and then hopefully increase my chances of getting into vet school. And I went from Blue Ridge, where I went to tech school, and then after Blue Ridge, I went on to a zoo for an internship, and then came back and started working at Virginia Tech at ICU. So like a teaching environment for vet students. And I loved the environment, but I just wasn't quite sold on wanting to be a veterinarian. So I decided to branch out, and then I moved on and went into infectious disease research. And then I started to really discover the avenues that technicians have. And in research, like I remember telling myself in school, I would never, ever go into research. You know, the things they do, there's just a lot that goes on there that I don't want to be a part of, but it's actually the opposite. Veterinary technicians have a very, very prime role in research, and that's really protecting the animals, making sure we're doing legitimate research and stuff. But so I went on from there into emergency practice, where I was working overnight while I was finishing my bachelor's, and then eventually I landed in Banfield about 3.5 years ago, which is where I really kind of found my passion with people and helping to develop people and help them find their common, you know, dreams and everything they want to be. So that goes from teaching to developing to really just finding the best opportunities that help them be themselves and who they want to be and who they want to grow into. And I've really been giving a lot of good resources to do that. So I found my passion with people after the long road with animals and different avenues, and that's where I am today.
Really good. So I'm gonna take back what I said earlier, and I'm gonna combine questions 2 and 3, and we're gonna let the panel answer those, and then we'll open it up to questions among people, because I want to be able to get a little bit more of the feel for what these folks have done and accomplished, and then we can start the conversation. So if everybody's okay with that, so none of you have an average day, right? None of us have an average day. So if I could ask you each just to talk a little bit about your average day and combine that with a tidbit or a takeaway that you think is critical to what you've chosen to do, how you've chosen to use your technician skills, and share that, you know, with the group, that kind of that little tidbit of advice that you would offer up. And go. Okay.
We all talk at once. I'll start, I guess. So an average day for me is talking with the different veterinary technician managers and leaders at a lot of the different hospitals that may be reaching out for development programs, or maybe collaborating on something that they've discovered is really good. We have all kinds of growth, like I said, in-house training programs. We also have partnerships with formal education programs. So sometimes they may have students in progress that, you know, may be struggling with a task, and they're looking for a way for us to help them accomplish that skill or task, whether it be in-house or with a formal program. It may be something that they're celebrating, a success of a VTS that just, you know, was able to accomplish, you know, pass her exam. So a lot of collaboration there. Sometimes I do site visits to these hospitals, which is a really awesome opportunity to see them in their home environment and really establish those relationships and cement them in, and see where we can help them as shared services grow their people. And I really, really enjoy just really working with this whole ginormous team that we put together, and develop these different tools along the way, using everybody's talents across the country. And, you know, one of the biggest things is that in specialty practice is that you know, we're counted on 24/7, and, you know, for a really high level of care at these hospitals are doing amazing, amazing procedures and techniques that, you know, really do require that higher level training. So we're all have a common goal of trying to get the best patient care possible and really elevate those skills, and feel very, very strongly that we're all in it together. So typical day is pretty much all of that on the computer or on site at one of the hospitals, you know, working with the different people in the network.
That's good. So DJ or Ashley, one of the two of you who are actually working a little bit in practice, compare and contrast then what your day would be like, you know, talk a little bit about yours.
So I can go first, DJ, if you like. It's funny that DJ brought up research because that's how my morning started this morning. So my average day, it's in a large animal practice, it's wholly dependent on the season. Right now, cows are coming off of grass, so the calves are being weaned and they're going into the feedlots. So for us right now, we have an extensive pharmacy and inventory that we have to keep because we sell millions of dollars worth of drugs to these very large scale feedlots. So I might be doing drug deliveries, post-mortem exams. I'll do digital post-mortem exams at the feedlots. But then at the same time, some of the vets might be on the road doing preg checking, right? So those calves either go to the feedlot and the cows come home and they get preg checked. So there's easily a day that I could be on the road with our veterinarians all day, just either preg checking. Come into the spring, it's calving season. So it could be, like I said, doing that surgical nurse or OR nurse, prep nurse stuff, doing C-sections, casting legs, a lot of nutrition-based stuff for down cows, you know, transition into looking after the bulls. So semen testing, do look at a lot of sperm in May, June. And then all combined, it's kind of just every day. So that's kind of my field work stuff, but I also do have a lot of office tasks. And so one of those, DJ said he hated research, but that's actually one of the things that our practice, it's one of the big things that we do. We work with a lot of pharmaceutical companies and we'll do field trials, applicable field trials. So right now we're working with Merck Animal Health. And so this morning I was building randomizations and just kind of getting ready for a trial that will be starting here in a couple of weeks. We also ship probably 75% of Canadian beef to America. So I actually handle all of the exports for feeder and fat cattle to the US. So those are kind of two of my major office tasks combined with all of the field stuff that I kind of described. So that would be my average day. And Catherine, you'd asked us, I think it was Catherine, asked us to combine question number 2 and number 3. Is that right? You still want us to do that?
Brenda, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay.
That's okay. So you still want us to do that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So kind of my takeaway or my points or tips or tricks that I would tell you would be, from my standpoint, when we had the little briefing here the other day, I said, you know, don't stop looking for your next opportunity. For me, I kind of got bored at one point during my career, and instead of getting out of being a technician altogether, I just looked for a challenge. You know, Bree mentioned that she was getting to her 5-year goal, and that was one of the things that I actually did. I sat down and I made a personal and a professional list of goals for the next year, 5 years, 10 years. And obviously I want those to align as much as possible, but there were some things that I said, you know, I really wanted to accomplish, and I went out and I did those. So keep looking for your next opportunity would be one of the biggest things. Develop goals. And I think moreover, when you get into a practice, whether that's a large animal practice or small animal, is to find a mentor, and that could be another technician or a veterinarian. For me, I don't think that I could have gotten my VTS in clinical practice without the support from the staff that I got to work with, especially the veterinarians that allowed me to prove my skills and my competency in order to gain that VTS, so that I could prove that I was an asset. And that was at the practice I used to be at. And then I ended up getting headhunted by this practice that I'm at right now because of those skills and the VTS and how I was able to add value to their practice.
Good comment on adding value, I think, for everybody, no matter what we do. So, DJ, working for Banfield and companion animal practice, there are probably perceptions people have of what that's like. And I bet you're going to tell us something totally different than what people might expect. So tell a little bit about how you spend your time and what you've learned along the way.
Yeah, so every day's different. I don't know that I have an average day. I'm sure we can all agree. I think, I try to spend my day at least 50% in the medicine, really on the quality of medicine that we deliver from my hospital, and also things that help us advance the medicine, whether it's new tools or, new opportunities that are coming down. That's where I really try to spend a lot of my time, is the vision of where we're going. And then the other time is really with my people, where I want to sit down and talk with them and understand where they are, how they're feeling about what they do every day, and where it is they want to go. Because there's opportunities, and that's, within Banfield, outside of Banfield, there's opportunities for everybody somewhere in our field. And that's really where kind of my lesson comes in. At the end of the day, what I try to do is connect with anyone and everyone I can. And I actually challenged myself that I went to a recent meeting in the summer, a large vet meeting. And I usually go to the meetings all day. You learn all day, you're tired, you just want to go back to the hotel. And I made it a point to do something different. I said, I'm going to do that, but then every day, that somebody that I meet with, I'm going to have dinner with them and just meet them and understand more about them. And it was exhausting. However, I met so many people. I challenged myself to do things that an introvert doesn't normally do. Sometimes you just want to rest, but that's okay. I rested later. And I really, really got involved in some really cool projects. But I made it that point to really connect with everybody, to take somebody brand new and just completely be vulnerable and go out and have dinner. It takes a lot to ask somebody to, hey, I just met you 5 minutes ago. Can we go to dinner tonight? What do you have going on? And Abbie was with me on some of that. And I said, hey, come on, let's go on here and let's talk about, the nurse initiative and different things going on in the practice, because there's really a lot happening in our profession that we all have a part of, and connect with everybody and try to learn what they do and learn about people. And that's really what our profession is made of, is people.
And that's what the Bridge Club's all about, right, too? So I know, Brianne, your job too, you're connecting with people every day. So you've actually taken what DJ said to heart in what you do.
Yeah. So my day either ranges from facilitating people from all areas. They could have no sales experience, no animal experience. They could be IT. And when they walk out the door, they're pretty much getting, as much nutrition training veterinarians and technicians are leaving after they graduate. So we're making them passion ambassadors for nutrition, no matter what their role is here with Royal Canin. And then I actually do consults for, I back up our technical services or just reps that are in the field. Of course, everybody's friends ask questions, right? I think that's a lot of my inbox. But I think like the biggest takeaway for me is that I wish I found my voice and trusted myself, trusted my gut, my training, my skills, and my knowledge a lot sooner into my career, advocating not only for myself, but for my patients and my owners, where I look back and I could have made such a bigger impact earlier on if I just was brave enough to make that leap, brave enough to ask for that mentorship, brave enough to ask for that dinner, that phone call. I don't mean to throw Kara into the fire, but I was brave enough, 2 years to go, hey, tell me about this VTS and nutrition. And, it was just like, all right, let's do this. So, just be brave and trust your gut.
Really great insight. And I have to say, oh my gosh, you guys, we got through those and we still have 2 minutes left before we're at the end of our. Yes, there comes the 2 minutes. No. Yes. 2 minutes before we end our 25 minutes. Now, that said, as Catherine said, I hope you guys will hang on for the after party, because truly that's where the most fun stuff usually comes up. If you have to leave, we certainly understand that, but would love now to open it up for a few minutes to you guys' questions about what our panelists have to say, or to ask each other specific questions as well. So does anybody want to kick it off with a question or a comment about what they've heard? Okay. Hey, you there in the back, the quiet one. Go ahead. Question.
So I know we're coming on the 25-minute mark, but I honestly am really, if someone were to come to you, and I do want every panelist to answer this question, if someone were to come to you, how do they get your job? What do they have to do?
Question.
So I would be curious. So if I could have every panelist, but recognize we're 1 minute away. If someone has to leave, all I want to do is my last plug is we have an amazing session tomorrow with Rebecca. And so I just want to make sure Rebecca's raising her hand really quick. Oh no,
Rebecca's
Dennis, sorry, Denise. So but we have an amazing session tomorrow. Sorry, Rebecca, you're just in my mind all the time. But it's a great one tomorrow. But I would love everyone to answer that question, because if someone said, how can I get your job? I want to know how you would respond.
Good one. Okay. And
someone asked me that question, and I would tell them to show a lot of passion for your profession, be open to everything, take every opportunity that you can to grow, never stop learning, and really, connect with people. It's really important to be able to form those relationships, to be able to listen to people, what they want, and be able to really match that with what you can have to offer them. And keep that passion for your pets at front of heart, for sure, because everything you do comes back to them.
So I would say though, Janet, how did you get your, like, if I wanted your job, why did you get your
have
job?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because it just kind of came to me. I mean, but most of my positions, as we grew the hospital, I just I developed them, and then when Compassion first came in the picture, they said we want to start this education department, and that was my formal title, is education and professional development, and then we narrowed it down to veterinary nursing. And so in my job now, yeah, I mean, experience in the profession definitely helps. A passion to learn and grow, develop, create, and collaborate. If you're a quarterback, you're in, because that's pretty much what I do.
it's interesting too, Janet, because what you say, I mean, what DJ mentioned about getting out of your comfort zone and meeting people, going to dinner, what Bree said about being brave, it really is about putting yourself out there and networking and getting to know people, right? And then opportunities come your way, I think, when you present yourself openly to them. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm not a panelist, I shouldn't have jumped in, sorry.
So like DJ, I'd love to hear like how you, like what would, for someone to have your job, what do they have to, like, what would you recommend they do? So DJ, I want your job. Not that you're gonna lose your job, but.
Well, I mean, it's really about taking whatever they're looking for and just taking your skills and making it that way. My job is all operational metrics, really, but I spend 90% of my time with people, and that's the metrics is comes after the people. But I had to learn that once I'm in the job, and so I think don't be afraid to take those risks. It can be a little calculated. You have to look at the pros and the cons of everything, but we all have skills that we forget sometimes, and those are really with people. Yeah, we're in the profession for animals and for helping animals feel better and be better, but at the same time, you're dealing with people that do that. And so, like in a managerial role like I am now, I enjoy being able to help somebody have a great day and to help somebody see they actually have the skills to do that they didn't feel like they had before. And that just takes a risk. I came here from private practice for so many years, and I said, I want to see what's going on over there. There's a lot changing in our industry. And so I said, let me go on over there and see. But it took that just kind of wanting that curiosity to learn something different and something completely, different from what I was used to do that. So I think take risk and just take the complete oddball idea, take the one that nobody else wants to go to and do it. Try it, see how it goes. Even in research myself, I read an entire book before I went into this interview because they were asking about, mouse gestation and things. And I was like, I don't remember that stuff. I never memorized it except for a test. But I read the book for that interview. And I think that helped me actually get the job because I actually knew those things right away. Even though I've been taught before, I took that risk and I just applied and went with it. And I met some awesome people.
Rebecca, it looked like you had something you wanted to comment on, so pop on in.
Okay, thank you. These are all wonderful, wonderful ways to stretch yourself. And I think one of the safest places to grow a career, whether you're staying within practice or beyond practice, is participating and stepping into organized medicine, whether that be at a local level with your technician organization or even within the Veterinary Medical Association, depending on who has opportunities for you. That's most importantly a safe place to grow. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you step out of your comfort zone. They encourage you to have a voice, which is what Brianne was saying about having a voice. And I would, if you're not currently in that realm, probably the people who are currently on this panel and in this field of vision here, probably are doing that. But for other people that are on that fringe where DJ said, ask people out to dinner, step outside your comfort zone, be engaged, feel the fear, as I mentioned yesterday, and do it anyway. The opportunities are just boundless as to where you can go with that. I see a lot of heads shaking. So yes, go with that.
Yeah. All right, Bree and Ashley, Catherine wants to hear what you have to say too. We all do.
Bribe your reps. No. Just kidding.
That's actually a very actionable one. That's good.
Yeah, it is. So I was the liaison in our practice and just networked with everybody. And one day we were getting ready for our AHA inspection, and I was writing out all the protocols, and our veterinarian wasn't doing anything. And I wrote out everything, laid out everything, and our rep came in. She goes, "What are you doing here? Where do you want to be? You should work for us." And I was like, haha, good joke, and she's like, no, literally, would you give me your resume? And within 8 hours, I had a phone call. I started off as a district manager and moved, from there, I was flagged by one of our head veterinarians in corporate affairs as, someone to watch. And throughout my whole career as a sales rep, which was brief, 3 years, my development was, I just wanted, the job didn't exist. Just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean that won't happen. And I just I wanted a role where I didn't have to move. I have sheep. They can't transfer to Missouri. From upstate New York, they will not be happy. My family will not be happy. So I wanted a job where I could be remote, still teach, still inspire, embolden that passion around nutrition and how to make pets' lives better. And I just kept working towards it. So learning just different skill sets, communication, teaching styles, measuring return on investment, because sometimes we do have to do that too. Like, when I teach this, where is that going to get me? And also just being a really good teacher. If you can oversimplify, then you know it. And, stay tuned for Thursday on communicating. But well, there you go. Right? But from there, I was called and I was like, do you want this job? I'm like, haha, another one. Good joke. And they're like, no, really, like, this is where we want you. And, so communication. And if you want to specialize, like, it's out there, grab it, get the support, reach out, because you can take it to the next level wherever you see that going.
And a good segue, I think, to Ashley too, right? Because talk about specializing. I mean, you've really made your own path in a way.
Yeah, I sure have. So I'd say I was scribbling down a bunch of notes as everyone was talking. You all had amazing points. A quote that I had heard once was, "You are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with." And I really do believe that. And it kind of goes with what I had said earlier about, getting a mentor and somebody that you can, that has buy-in and will let you do things. Because I think if you are passionate, as Janet had said, and you've got that drive and determination. I mean, I've been accused of being able to sell ice to an Eskimo and totally buy into what DJ had said, is that, like, I can talk to anybody. I can easily say, "Excuse me, sir, is this seat taken?" Or, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you know what time it is?" And start a conversation from there. And I definitely appreciate that there are people that can't do that. They don't possess those skills. So, I mean, I think that is one thing that's really important. And actually, I guest lecture at a local tech college, and I had a student that she missed the talk, and she contacted me. She was really interested in large animal medicine. She asked if I was free for coffee. I said absolutely, and I actually brought my resume with her, or with me, to show her, because it was one of the things that she, just based off of the questions she asked me in her email, she said, "What do I have to do to get your job?" And so I brought my resume with her. I said, "These are the things that I volunteer in. These are the continuing education seminars that I've gone to. These are the practices that I've used as stepping stones, or here's the tasks list that of things that I did, and these are skills which I told her classmates. These are skills that I believe that you should possess when you graduate, so that you are an asset to whatever practice you go into. Because there's certain things that I think people take for granted, but when push comes to shove, especially with farmers, you can't BS. They're gonna try to catch you in things, or it's just as easy to say, I actually don't know that answer, but I'd be happy to go find out for you. And I think you get a lot more integrity, or you have a lot more integrity that way, and a lot more respect. And so, yeah, for me, I'm absolutely, DJ, let's go for dinner. Yeah, I'm all for that, and just putting yourself out there amongst the people, that you want, the person that you want to be, right? Exposure to those people. Go have that elevator speech at some CE conference to a veterinarian that you're like, hey, I've heard of your practice. Your practice sounds awesome. That's how actually I moved out to Alberta from PEI. I was going through the classifieds for the Alberta Vet Med Association website, and I came across all these practices that sounded amazing. And I just sent them emails, and I just said, your practice is amazing. I hope that when it's time for me to do my tech externship, that I'm lucky enough to find a practice like yours. And I got so many offers to come and do it. I wasn't trying to brown nose. I was being absolutely genuine that, like, holy cow, your practice sounds awesome. How do I get there?
So I found Ashley, I do have to interrupt. I found Ashley because of Janet, because Janet read about her in an article, and Janet gave me the article, and I cyber stalked and then called and did all stuff. And look at how cool we are now because we have Ashley here. Because
that was a great article.
I read an article, passed it along, and that person was Janet. So thank you.
I think it all brings back a really good point, though, right? I mean, networking, believing in yourself, putting yourself out there, asking the questions, being available to opportunity, right? And not closing yourself off to it. I mean, there's so many common themes among the four of you that I think it's really fascinating, right? You're very diverse paths that you've taken, and very diverse places you've ended up, but there are some really common themes there among that. So, questions, people, anything else you want to know? You want to dig into anything more specifically? I want to know why Ashley's living in Prince Edward Island, Alberta, Canada. It's really cold.
The wind hurts my face sometimes.
When it hurts to breathe, it's a good day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So has this been helpful? Have people learned something? Have you come away with this? I mean, we're coming on 7:37 right now, and we do try to keep us at 45 minutes at the most. So I don't want to cut anything short, but I want to be sure that we're getting, to things that you might want to know or hear while we have a few minutes left here. It's hard to get 4 panelists to really engage themselves in a short period of time, right? So we apologize that this one's going a little bit longer than most bridge clubs in terms of just content, but I hope you guys will agree it's been really well worth your time. It's been a valuable information. And again, I got to give a shout out to Banfield, because without Banfield, we might not be sitting here right now. So truly appreciate that they stepped up to say, yay, we want to be a part of it. So anything else?
This will be something that a lot of technicians will want to watch, because the opportunity of the variety of career opportunities, I don't think it's ever been really laid out. It's kind of out there nebulous. And I'm sure that if you know someone like Kara in your life, and you can sit down with Kara, she'll tell you all the opportunities. But to be able to have those things kind of out there in a broader forum, hopefully this helps a lot of technicians, because I think the advice has been really powerful. I've written down a lot of amazing things, and Brenda and I both been around a long time. This is probably one of the coolest things that we've ever done, is this session right here, because I'm learning a lot. So I have to just say thank you to everybody for being a part of this. Celeste, I think your point that you put in there, if you can't reach the people, the clients themselves, then you really can't reach the pet. And I think that the value of what everyone's bringing here is the idea of you got to be good. I mean, like motivated and passionate and doing those other things. Very cute there, Janet. And be able to then reach the pet itself. Yeah, everyone, just bring in your people. Bring them in.
Dogs, kids, husbands,
bring them over. I was expecting Ashley to have a cow, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Those are much harder.
Like in her living room, the cow would have shown up and just been over her shoulder.
Well, Thursday, Bree, bring a sheep. Bring a sheep in for the session.
Put a picture on the wall if that helps.
I have a question that some of the people that might be, listening later on this, and everybody has mentioned to a level of being brave. And how do you transfer that to a resume or cover letter? How do you express that you're confident, that you have good skills, that you have all these things? Because I feel people are really stretch themselves when they have to explain all of that in a resume or cover letter. What advice could you give somebody along those lines?
Great question, Rebecca.
I've mentored a few with their resume. I'm a big believer in that first section of your resume to be your non-resume skills, action-oriented, or not driven, but able to take the lead, able to work alone, good team player, communication strengths. Because sometimes when we just bullet point those little things that we do in our role, it doesn't express that. You can communicate that. You can, you're able to work alone, or you're able to take the lead, and just that, planner. We miss some of those little tidbits. So really that section of the resumes is a great area of opportunity to really call it out, because they will call it out in an interview. I call it out when I interview people for other offices that I assist in. It's like, okay, tell me, you say you're action oriented, give me an example. So if you do put it on there, you got to make sure you can bring it.
That's a good point.
I'm also a fan of not afraid of trying new things, or willing. I like those two words. We teach our students at the ABA program, and they're just entering into this profession. Like, you have got to be very open and willing, and be brave for sure. But I look for that, when we also have like at their last class, they receive a resume writing class, and we throw in more than the standard in terms of like, what is the veterinary profession looking for? Are you flexible? Are you willing to try new opportunities, and not just this one job, because your job will grow and change. So those are some of the things that we coach them on.
And so Catherine actually kind of put me on the spot here yesterday when when I tuned into yesterday's talks, and that was kind of something that I had said as well. I think that the opportunities are kind of endless for some of these things, and if you can put yourself out there, and you can surround yourself by these people, and exposure and everything like that, I think it's so important to your ability to sell yourself, really, is what it comes to. When I talk to that student about their resumes as well, I think that there's a part of it. I think that, your opener, it doesn't have to be like the bullet form. I think that the opener needs to really catch somebody's attention too. I talked to one of the other techs in our office, and she's like, I don't even read those. I said, for me, I almost wouldn't even read what the rest of the resume would say. I would want to look at that opening, cover letter, and really read what someone has to say in their experiences and what they're willing to do. And one of our vets, and this is what Catherine had asked me yesterday, one of our vets, he'll say, hey, Ashley, can you do something for me? And I said, yes, absolutely. And he laughs. He's like, you don't even know what I'm about to ask you. And you're saying yes. But I think if you're able to just say yes to people, be willing to add to your toolbox. One of the discussions right now in Alberta is whether or not technicians are going to be able to or should be able to preg check. Whether it's a diagnosis or a detection. And I've had great discussions with veterinarians, and they say, well, our techs don't even want to do that. I said, have you asked? I can't imagine.
Raising your hand and saying, I would like to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying it's for everybody, but have you genuinely asked? Because I would suspect that if given the opportunity to advance yourself, what technician wouldn't want to? What technician wouldn't want to add a skill to their toolbox? I mean, you'll try anything once, and to say that you did it, and maybe you will like it. Maybe you just haven't empowered that technician to do it.
Good comment. Yeah.
I'll just add really quick. I think you know, when you're writing a cover letter, I think it's really important that you do your research and know the core values of the organization you're applying to, because if your personal core values don't match theirs, it may not be the best for you. And I think if you know their core values, you can connect right away in that first paragraph. And how will you match with their values of an organization? Because if you don't believe in what they do every day, if you know personally you can't do that every day, that's just not part of you, it may not be the best for you. But I think you really need to do your research into figuring out things they're a part of. And that comes from, you know, when you go on Google, just search, you know, acronyms and things that are just specific to that company, because then you're going to find places or articles or things that they're involved in from a community standpoint. You know, if your organization is in the community, you know it's positive, you know they're doing things to help other people, help other organizations, help other communities themselves. And if that's something that you love to do, do it. But your first paragraph, I think, is the most important. And, you know, kind of going back to what Ashley was saying, is that, you know, there are some people that don't even read cover letters. And, you know, I think about that long-term, why is that? And is it because they haven't gotten anything from it? You just have to figure out how you can connect right away with that organization and what that person wants from this position and how you're the right person for it.
That's a really good point. Really good point. So to this point, we have a question here that I do want to throw out there. So do you guys recommend, do you all, I don't want to say guys because only one of you is a guy, but do you all recommend that a bachelor's degree in veterinary technology is a good thing to invest time and energy in? Comments, questions? No, yes, maybe?
That's one of my regrets. Going back to that question, you know, your tip or regret. I got my associates like years ago, and I really wish I would have gone for the bachelor's. And it just seems like it opens up so much of a world of opportunity that you might not have the ability to, excuse me, if you're just with associates. So, you know, for a lot of our students that are considering it, I'm like, I absolutely would highly recommend it now. I think it's definitely like opens up a lot more doors.
Yeah, I'd agree and say the same thing. And even if you work for an employer, if you can only afford an associate's degree yourself, maybe they'll sponsor you. You know, if you work for them for a few years, maybe they'll help you get to your bachelor's if that's what you want. But at least get started, and if that's something you want to do long term, why not? It elevates the profession, it elevates you, and it elevates the quality of medicine you do with your pets. So
great comment.
I was able to get where I am because I had a bachelor's. I do not have a bachelor's in veterinary technology. Mine is in non-human primate enrichment, so go figure. But where, you know, if you don't want to do the managerial part of a veterinary technician degree, or you want to, you know, or do another aspect, if you want a bachelor's, get it in what you have a passion for, or where you want to grow yourself. You know, I have one of my mentors right now, she's getting her bachelor's, but it's in communications because she isn't comfortable communicating and it's stretching herself. So she's specializing in taking higher courses in veterinary technology, but she's getting that bigger foundation to obtain her bachelor's, and it's going to be a bachelor's in communications. So where you see yourself going, then get that extra educational experience that way, so you can check all the boxes for your next goal.
Well, Ashley,
Canada doesn't even have differentiate between associates and bachelor's programs. So I did 2 years of a bachelor degree in sciences, then decided that I wanted to do a tech diploma. So it was, there were some 3-year programs and 2-year programs available, and I did a 2-year program. I haven't really, I think in my 10 years as a technician, no one has really discounted me or asked if I had a bachelor's, or I don't think that really made a difference. I have considered going back to complete it just because, but it would be for me and not for an employer. I think that the VTS probably was worth more to me in the end, or you know, at least to where I am right now. But that's just my personal experience.
That's good. So guys, gosh, time flies, right? We are at 7:49 Central Standard Time. So we are zipping right along. I think unless anybody has a final question, that maybe we'll wrap things up and let people get on with their evening. But before we do, I want to.
And most of us are out of wine.
Most of us are out of wine. When you drink bourbon, you sip it slowly so it lasts longer. That's my tip for the evening. Drink bourbon, it lasts longer, right? Okay, so
There you go.
you have it. So y'all came away with some very valuable from Catherine and me this evening. But quick comment before we close up. We do have 3 more days of really good programming left on the schedule. So if you're not signed up and you're interested, go to the website, check it out, see what we have coming down the pike. Please stay engaged with us. Let us know how we did. Let us know how we can do better. You can always reach out to Catherine and me. It's really complicated, Brenda@thebridgeclub.com or Catherine@thebridgeclub.com. So we'd love to hear from you and have your ideas. And just want to give another big thanks to Banfield Pet Hospital for helping us make this evening happen. And I would really like, Abbie started this out. I would like to ask Abbie if you have a final thought, the way you would like to close out our evening.
Just what I took away from listening to everyone was the passion around continuing to elevate our profession and being brave and standing up for what we believe in. And I just can't think of a better way to wrap this up than for that to be our last thought, is to just be brave, be respectfully disruptive is what I always say, to keep advancing our profession. So happy Vet Tech Appreciation Week, and I'm so happy to have been a part of this.
Cheers, everybody.
Yes, cheers.